normal in our business for team members. They've got 100 projects on at once, and they're all at different stages. You can't manage all of those on the back of a post-it note. You've got to have a system. And us being systemized allow us to understand all of those stages and what's next and communicate with all of those 100, potentially 100 different customers. It allows us to do it in a practical way. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of More Clients, Less Effort. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Robert Boschetti. Robert is a skilled leader with over 20 years experience in growing businesses and managing operations in areas like data farms, renewable energy, construction, utilities, and manufacturing. Known for his forward-thinking approach, Robert has a talent for spotting new trends and using them to make his companies more competitive. His focus on using data to make smart decisions has helped him streamline processes and improve results. He's great at building strong, motivated teams that work well together. With a background in electrical engineering and hands-on experience as an electrician and instrumentation technician, he has earned certifications in management and leadership. Robert's passionate about sustainable practices and giving back to the community and enjoys mentoring and sharing his knowledge to support the others in their careers. Robert, welcome to the show.
Wow. Thank you, Tim. Pleasure to be here. What an introduction. You're very generous with that one. So thank you for that.
I love seeing what, when someone sort of edifies you like that, you sort of go, oh, that's actually really nice. Thanks.
It was quite a lot, really. But yeah, thank you for that.
Mate, I want to talk about your career because I know you've done a whole bunch of things in your life. Let's before we get into the pre-electrical engineering, let's talk about Boschetti. Now, Boschetti was something that was founded in your spare bedroom as an electrical engineer. I've seen the photos of your little sort of reclaimed desk that someone picked up from the side of the street and getting started in electrical engineering. Talk to me about where did that passion for business comes from? Because, mate, you're a guy that wears your emotions on your sleeve.
Maybe a bit too much. Yeah, I'm a very emotional person. I sort of do enjoy that part of myself, actually. And in a way, I use my emotions to motivate myself and understand why I do things and to, push myself. It sort of sounds a bit manipulative there, but I do use my emotions to motivate myself. And I enjoy it. So it's good. Yeah, I do. I am an emotional being, but it's fun. Life's emotional, so I don't mind. I don't mind being emotional. Bit of a sook sometimes, but
I think it comes with pros and cons. I think the interesting thing about observing your business, and we've known each other for a couple of years now through our BNI group that we share, that I see one of those things that really, because you are quite transparent, like, when you present, you'll openly cry if it's an emotional sort of moment. But what I've noticed with that particularly, it kind of inspires incredible loyalty from the people in your team to follow you, right? Because they see your passion, right, expressed in that for what it is that you're trying to build with Boschetti, right? Now, you've named the company after yourself, right, to create that family legacy as well. It's all wrapped in everything you do.
That is true.
Why do you think that works for you where it doesn't work for other people?
Well, naming the company Boschetti, what it's named, is really clearly linked to one of our values, which is family. So we are a family business and we have family values. So that sounds a little bit like, maybe a little bit cringe for some people to hear described like that. But why aren't we called Banana Leaf Electrical? It's because what's banana leaf? And who's Mr. Banana Leaf? There isn't nobody. So naming the company what it's named links it to people. And since we are people, we need our customers to transact with us as people, not just as a big machine type thing. So because it's people within organizations that make business work. It's not all transactional. So why else does it work? People get on board with that. Like, people enjoy being a part of our family business, and they then have their own meaning of family, and they can bring that too, which is great. It allows everybody to add the part of that that's particularly important to them. And I see it as recently this week, people defending our workplace culture, which was, yeah,
You mean your staff defending your work?
yeah, absolutely. They, the intent or making sure we've got a positive culture. And it was incredible. I wasn't around when they did that. I was off skill, but that was amazing because they were representing themselves at the same time as representing the company.
Yeah, and I was just there for the paycheck. They're actually invested in that vision.
Yeah, and so therefore they motivated themselves towards that. They made a decision, they went with it, and it was perfect. Like it was just fantastic.
I'm curious if there's some sort of key pivotal moments in your work career where you said, "This is the thing that I want to instill in my own business."
Certainly, it took me 5 or 6 years to really understand our business values, and because our company became like, it carries my name, but it was just me, bigger sort of thing. It was everything that I was good at, the company was good at. Everything I was bad at, the company was bad at. And it just grew just like that. It was just like a big exaggeration of me and my personality, everything about me. So that is brutal, by the way, because that means the negative parts, the bad parts of you get made bigger and they're under examination constantly because that's a part of the business that needs to be fixed. That's a part of the process that needs to be addressed in whatever way. And that is brutal because at the same time as fixing that process in the business, we've got to address it in myself. How did we actually get where we've got? So yeah, that took a long time to sort of understand. But then once I did understand it, and document it, it became very powerful for us, just as a communication tool. Like the values of embedded in the business, they were always there. Every single person they've got their own values. So my values went into the business then grew with those. But my challenge was to describe them, distill them down to something that's identifiable. So the values were there. You just got to go through this process where to understand what they are and write them down. So why are they this thing and not that thing? And that was really important because you just can't change the values in a business. That's almost impossible. The values are there.
You've got to get it right from the start.
Yeah, because they're the blood in the veins.
Well, in bad news for everyone who's already got an established business, you're stuck with it now.
Well,
Like it's not impossible, and I know you say it's you're stuck with them, but it is a very difficult thing to change incumbent values because you've almost got to completely replace the people that are there in order to change the values. And if you're replacing everyone else except for yourself, anyone new coming in is just going to reflect your views and attitudes and behaviors. Right, because you are those, right? So I think you've really got to lead with your values. If you're not leading your company with the values that the company either you have or that the company represents, then everyone else is just going to follow your pattern of behavior. And I think, you can do some really cool things with values. Like we just shared this in our BNI group this morning. There's a code of ethics in BNI, but we actually started giving, rather than just saying this is the one word statement and everyone coming up with their own ideas about what that actually means, we said, well, here's examples of how these values are represented and here's how they're not represented to get some more clarity on that. And I think it's an important thing as part of the indoctrination process for new staff. Show people these rare values. This is what they mean, but embed them into your performance review process as well. How have you demonstrated our company values the last year or the last quarter or however long you do it?
So true. Yeah. No, that is great. Adding that narrative against them makes it a bit more real and makes it easier to apply to the real world. What's an example of integrity or whatever? It's when you do things even though no one's watching, you still do it right or something like that. Like it helps. Regular reminders help to get it into the brain because we're all challenged, aren't we? Like every day, we might be faced with some sort of challenge. Oh, am I going to pick this or that? And it might not be an easy decision, but if you can lean on something like those values, it can be a decision-making tool. Well, I'm choosing option B because
I feel it's more in line with our values and our purpose.
And, not everyone's going to get every decision right every time, but is certainly a good tool in a very busy environment.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Mate, electrical engineering and all of your previous careers in terms of renewable energy, construction, data farms, etc., is a very, I guess, precise business. I always joke that, as fast as you think you are, electricity is faster. So go and get someone who's qualified to do the thing, right? Just change your power points. How have you kind of embedded or using that sort of real data-driven approach in your business? Talk to me about that. Just in terms of product you deliver, but in terms of how you operate the business.
yeah, electrical engineering, it can be very technical, but sometimes the assignments, the tasks that we get, they can be small and simple, or small and complex, large and simple. Like there's a big variety there.
Give me an example of some of those. What's a small, easy job?
Oh, that's let's change a power point in someone's house. Like there might be Beryl and she wants a new power point in the kitchen, whatever. That's just
Okay.
straightforward.
And the more complex end?
The more complex end would be a brownfield site, an active production environment, with livestock, and doing a renewables project on that facility whilst it's still operating. That can get pretty complicated pretty quickly.
You've got a bunch of environmental factors that come into play that certainly do at that stage.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if there's a bull in the paddock and runs over your electricians?
Yeah. Or, if we switch the power off and the generator doesn't start, what's gonna happen? And the answer could be that millions of our livestock die, which is perhaps pretty hard. That's hard to hear, but it's true. Those are the types of plans that we have to run through. So, yeah, connecting all of that back to a data-driven business, that's been an enormous years-long project for me to understand our business better and make it report in ways that are meaningful, at intervals that are meaningful. So practically speaking for us, it means, where's our work coming from? How is it approved? How do we understand the scope of works? How do we demonstrate its completion? Like that is so important for us. And there's lots of data at different points in that help us to manage lots of work fronts at once. Like, for example, it's quite normal in our business for team members. They've got 100 projects on at once, 100, and they're all at different stages. Like, you can't manage all of those on the back of a Post-it note. You've got to have a system. So yeah, and us being systemized allow us to understand all of those stages, and what's next, and communicate with all of those 100, potentially 100 different customers. It allows us to do it in a practical way. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Yeah. Was your business always like that? Or was there a moment in time as you were growing to go, oh shit, we need a new system, or we need a different way of doing things?
Oh, I've been through that a bunch of times, and that's really hard. But it's part of like a build and rebuild cycle. Like, what happens is we have the system we've got, and you hit the ceiling with it, and you're outgrowing it, and you're getting really frustrated. And then you put the work into identifying a new and better way. Then you implement the new and better way. That's where you're rebuilding. You're building the business up, and then the new system causes a bit of rebuild, and you dip down for a little bit, but it's totally necessary. So the build and rebuild cycle, typically I go through, one of those for a major project every 2 years. But typically, there's all kinds of minor projects in the business that happens throughout the year. But the build and rebuild cycle, it just depending on how big it is. It's all very well to say, I'm going to do things this way instead of that way, but actually making it happen and actually making it a fixed process with an understood outcome in the business that's another thing altogether.
Is that something that you leave, or is that something you delegate to your team to say, you guys need to identify this and find it and come up with solutions? Or is that still sits in your plate?
Yeah, I'll often have them help me work towards the new system or the solution. But what happens is usually when our team, outgrow a current system and they start to hit the ceiling on it, they'll raise their hand and be like, I need help. I need help with this because we've hit the ceiling. And that's typically where I'll get involved. And that's good because I'll see, are we using the tool properly? And if not, then good, we can squeeze a bit more value out of it. If not, then it gives me the opportunity to see and really understand in what ways we've outgrown our system, and that guides us. Then I consult with them on what we're going to do next. But we're pretty dynamic. Like that can happen very fast. Like this, everyone in our business carries a lot of authority, and well, together or individually, we can make some pretty big decisions pretty quickly. But equally. But then the ones that need time, and in some cases, thousands of hours of work to fix or change, they get a lot more consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about one of those systems that I know has been relatively consistent throughout your business journey with Boschetti so far, and that's your job management system. Let's break that down about how you manage the delivery work in a way that creates, I guess, this surprise and delighted excellence with customers and ultimately generates more referrals. Talk me through that process. Okay, so someone said, yep, Rob, let's go ahead. I want my PowerPoint done, or I want my electrical substation kind of rebuilt, or you went over there. They said yes. What happens next? Because I know you got one interesting process from a payment perspective that I was super impressed with your team. So let's start there, and then we'll break down the rest.
Yeah, well, generating the referrals, he said at the start, that's our number one goal, and that's what our business was built on, 100%. It was only recently, like in the last 18 months, that we actually got a website. For that, no website. Like, this is like the 1990s. We were built on referrals, and that was such a pleasure, really. How to generate referrals. Yeah, it's about making that process clean and fun and exciting for the customer.
So fun and exciting is not something you'd normally associate with an electrical engineering business. So represent your PowerPoint at all. Like, well, running some new lights. Well, how do you embed that into, how do you embed that into an otherwise very utilitarian product?
Oh, it's all in how we engage with the customer. So I suppose sometimes customers don't want to know; they just want the outcome, and that's fine as well. But at the closure of it, we in our presentation of what have we actually delivered for you, there's always something cool to look at. There's always something cool.
Give me an example. Give me an example of that.
Oh, so for example, I was working with a customer on a solar farm yield project. Well, it's ongoing, but I was talking to the customer yesterday, and we're sort of scrolling through like all this data, heaps of data. And our customer is an accountant he's a numbers guy, but he really enjoys it, getting really excited by all this data, all this performance and production information we were looking at. And then there was a certain point when I could exactly explain what was happening with production, the production of energy and its utilization on that facility. It was tied exactly, and being able to demonstrate that was really cool, and he got really into it as well. And then also just the fact that we were looking at some pretty pictures, there were some really nice pretty curves on the screen of the production data and its usage, and I was just like, this is textbook stuff on the screen here. And yeah, we were both, he was really into it because it means a lot for him to understand how he's getting value out of his investment. That's quite a big and pretty complex situation, that one. But yeah, that's an example of how we engage with the customer. Otherwise, it's with completion reports or test sheets and just explaining to them simply, okay, we've installed this thing and we've tested it. Is there anything else we can do for you?
Okay, so that's a really important question. I think a lot of people miss though. Is like, is there anything else that we can do for you? Right. So often I find when we work in a marketing context with businesses, it's not necessarily just about go and find me new customers. Sometimes it's just actually kind of being of service to the existing ones and say, what else can I do for you? Is there anything else I can do for you? As is you, and actually putting that into don't care. Put it into your narrative. Put it into a checklist. However you do it. See if you can be of service to your client. Because ultimately that's what we're for, isn't it?
Exactly. Some people, I don't know if you've read the love languages book. Yeah, like, I don't remember 5 love languages, what it is called. Yeah, one of them is through service. I don't actually remember what the other ones are, but so people experiencing love in all these different ways. And I get it that that's not everybody, but if when they're at work, they just try to dial into that a little bit. Okay, I'm of service to people, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people. When my phone rings, that someone wants help, and I'm going to help them. That's incredibly useful, and it's something that I do. Like, not saying like I'm perfect or anything, but it's something I remember, and that helps to motivate me, and it helps me to feel good about what we do.
Yeah, I know one of the things that you have there that you're particularly proud of at Boschetti is that like even as the business owner of a quite substantial team there, if someone calls you up and said, Rob, I need some help, all right, you'd be like, what do you need? I think I need your PowerPoint. All right. And it's not beneath you to say, no, we don't do that. It's like, sure, this is when I can make that happen for you. This is how we can help. And is putting that real acts of service, love language, in embedding that into the culture and how you deliver what it is you do. Incidentally, the other ones are a physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, and I can't recall something else. Quality time.
Well, there you go. Well, some of those we do and some we don't. Yeah, no, I mean, and one of our core beliefs in the business is equity. And equity means this sounds like I'm going off a rant now, but equity is treating everybody equally. It doesn't matter if they're spending $1 million or $100. If the PowerPoint is a good one, because Beryl, for example, she wants a new PowerPoint in her kitchen. She also works in a big factory, and we want to work in her house as well as a factory.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, that's a very businessy thing to say, but everyone gets treated exactly the same. $1 million or $100, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so important. So we're going to pivot, mate. We're going to throw a little quick fire at you and see how you go with this. I know Erica and Marcella are super important to you, and Erica is probably at the time of release. You will have a new bub. Let's go. Are you hoping for a boy or a girl?
Oh no, I mean, this is cliche. I don't. No, it's fine both ways. Our daughter Marcella, she's hoping for a sister. So Erica and I will be both,
You'll be happy either way.
Yep.
She'll be like, can I have a sister? She asked for a sister.
Well, she's already decided it's sister.
Marcella is an absolute hoot and a very alert and bright little 3-year-old. Mate, did you always want to be an electrician and business owner?
Yeah. What I'm doing now probably sounds really boring, but it was long planned. I knew from when I was really young that this is exactly what I was going to do. And then I just went and did it. Like I always knew I was unsatisfied with some of what electricians were doing, and I was unsatisfied with some of what engineers were doing. And my mission in the world was to bring those two worlds together.
Mm.
And I knew the only way to do it was to create an environment that did it. And that's our business. That's our company.
Awesome. I know you've rebranded. You owned a retail franchise under another brand, and you had your Boschetti Industries as the engineering arm. What has been the hardest thing about bringing those two entities together under a new brand? And what has been the coolest thing about it?
Hardest thing? You know what? I can't think of anything that was particularly hard about it. That other brand, see, our customers had no real connection to it. It was just like the banana leaf type example that I provided earlier. Who is this company? Where are they? They're remote. Who cares? Type thing. So I wouldn't say there's been anything hard about it. Oh, well, it took a lot of work, but that's fine. That's what we signed up for. But what's been really cool about it, our customers, they just responded to it like straight away, instantly. They were just like, oh, good.
Finally.
All of that. Yeah. All of that's just clean now. It's super clean. And even, that whole process of the acquisition and then removing that brand, that was planned and we timed that out. We made the acquisition, let things settle, then merge the brands, then it's just enjoy the fruits of it, basically.
Well, I know that's something we talked to a lot when we were working together on that brand transition. What was your favorite subject at school?
I'd say it'd probably be physics or maths. I was always that way inclined. I'm probably not that. I'm not very good with maths anymore because don't practice the theoretical arms of it very much. And that sounds a bit funny to hear like electrical engineers say that. Yeah, we do maths flat out all the time. But when I compare it with sort of my niece and nephews, what they're studying at school, I think, gee, I can't remember any of that stuff.
But please don't bring me my key. Can't answer.
But we do all this other stuff, we just learn what we need to learn. Maths is really cool because maths is so much more than maths. Maths is like resilience because you get stuff wrong a lot in maths, and it builds resilience. It causes people's behavior to change. So what do? when they don't know. The answer needs to be, I ask. And it really beds that in. And a lot of self-confidence too, because in maths, it's wrong, 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 and then it's right. And just the belief that you can push through that. I've just seen people be incredibly successful with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeves. What is it? I'm looking around for inspiration.
So messy desk customers who don't pay their bill on time.
Well, yeah, but that is, yeah, definitely can be challenging sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing just about business though, right? You know, we have these expectations about what's going to happen, and I think one of the things you touched on before we started recording was integrity. Integrity goes both ways. You know, it's with you and it's with your clients as well.
And both have got to meet there. Like, if one party isn't, carrying the same levels of integrity, it's just not gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Qualify your clients out to start with. It's better to say no than yes and deal with it afterwards. What do you think? You got a big team. What do you think the keys to building a really engaged, successful team are?
Well, I think that we've just been real the whole time. Like, sometimes things are hard, sometimes we don't get it right, but what are we gonna do? I'm not gonna, you know, grill someone and chuck them under the bus. That's your fault. No, it's like, what are we gonna do about it? We're worried about the solution, not the problem. Just sharing the hard times and the good times. I think that's been really important for us.
Yeah, love it. What's one thing that you are hoping both Marcella and soon to be named Bub will learn from you as a business owner?
Wow. Well, maybe it's about that resilience. It'll be tough in this world. So hopefully they can. I'm not saying I am tough, but sometimes you've got to be resilient and it's hard. So hopefully they can learn that from me. Sometimes I carry that trait, sometimes I don't. But yeah.
Well, so as long as you can pick yourself up more times than you get knocked down, that is a win, right?
Yeah.
We'll leave it there, mate. Thanks so much for sharing your journey in business with us today on More Clients, Less Effort. Guys, if you've enjoyed today's show, if you've got some value you can take out of it, please share it with someone in your network who'd get value from hearing Rob's story and his passion for what it is that he does in building an incredible business at Boschetti. Comment, like, follow, do all the cool things, and we'll catch you on another episode real soon. Take care.
Thank you so much, Tim. Bye-bye.